Imagine if you can take your gameplay experience from this to this.
Prepare for shots. Should be a body over here somewhere.
Yep, right here. He's dead.
Good. Nice. Get it. Yep. It's moving in now. It's moving in.
I think I can stop the fire.
Oh, nice. You got him.
Nice. Point are you on? We're on February.
Welcome to another Reforger Resource video. My name's Ironbeard, and I'll be your host today, and today we're diving deep into Arma Reforger's conflict game mode with a guide to help you dominate the battlefield. How? By mastering 3 essential skills: situational awareness, teamwork, and tactics. Think of these as the holy trinity of victory. Situational awareness is your foundation, knowing what's happening around you. Teamwork is the glue that turns individual players into an unstoppable force. And tactics? Those are the actions you take to outsmart the enemy and secure the win. Master these, or even just vaguely practice them, and you'll be the player your team can't live without. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to turn matches into your personal highlight reel. Let's get started with our first pillar, situational awareness. Without situational awareness, you're like this poor soul, charging blindly into a sniper's crosshairs, wondering why you're staring at the respawn screen before you even fired a shot. Situational awareness is about knowing everything that's happening around you in real time. Of course, it's impossible to keep track of everything all the time, but the more you practice this skill, the more things you can mentally manage, and the easier it gets. Situational awareness is the bedrock of every smart move in Arma Reforger. It's your ticket to outthink and outplay the enemy. Think of it as turning your brain into a battlefield radar. So let's break it down into 5 key elements. First up, map awareness. Your map is your lifeline. Treat it like your phone in a zombie apocalypse, with poor reception, of course. Check it every minute to track enemy markers placed by other players, squad leader positions, and objectives that are under attack. For example, imagine you spot an enemy squad through your binoculars. Mark their position on the map before you engage. Now your whole team can know where the threat is coming from in case you die and you might have just saved them from an ambush. Or the reverse happens. You give the map a quick glance and see an enemy marker near your area. Now's your chance to get ready for an ambush. On public servers, this can turn chaos into coordination. All you gotta do is communicate over voice comms or text chat that you've marked an enemy on the map around the nearest base. Next, sensory awareness. Arma's world is alive with clues, and your eyes and ears are your best scouts. I can't tell you how many times I've smoked enemies because I've heard them sprinting through the bushes like they're playing The Ground is Lava. Listen for the cadence of footsteps nearby. That's an enemy sneaking up. The faster they're moving, the louder they are. Hear a gunshots echo? It's telling you where the fight's brewing. Knowing where your forces are gives you a big hint as to whether those gunshots are friendly or not. A vehicle's engine roaring? Something big's coming your way. It's probably driving on the nearest road or close to it. Visually, watch for dust clouds from moving vehicles, muzzle flashes in a tree line, muffled gunfire from inside a building, or even a shadow moving behind a window. These cues are your early warning system. Tune in or get cooked like a piece of toast. Third, terrain analysis. As beautiful as the infusion engine is, the battlefield isn't just scenery, it's your tactical playground. Study it like you're working for one of those road survey crews. Look for a high ground that gives enemies a clear shot over your position. Spot choke points, like a bridge that forces vehicles into a kill zone. Identify cover, such as walls, rocks, or forests, that will keep you or the enemy alive. And ask yourself, where would the enemy feel the most comfortable? For example, you're advancing on a town, but a ridge looms to your right, such as the one next to military training on Arland. Everyone knows you can find snipers looming there because the high ground just screams sniper's nest. Or you see a narrow valley and realize it's the perfect ambush spot, so you make a detour through the forest instead, robbing the enemy of another kill. Reading the terrain gives you the upper hand when bullets start flying, especially when you take notice of where the burning vehicles or dead bodies are piling up. Fourth, situational awareness. This is about tracking the enemy's bigger picture like a detective piecing together clues. Note their common routes. Say they always push from a certain direction. Remember past contact points, like that crossroads where you got hit last death. Best of all, grab an enemy radio from a downed soldier and listen to their comms for live intel. Here's how it works. You loot a radio and hear the enemy say something like, "Sup dudes, we're reinforcing the church." Which church? Probably the one in Monty. You mark the church on your map and tell your squad, letting them prep their mortars. Or you recall that the enemy always spawns vehicles at a specific base, so you mine the road leading out of it and listen for those satisfying explosions. Also take note of which bases are under attack. This will give you a clue as to where the enemy might be advancing from or where they're likely to go next. This kind of intel turns you into a mind reader, making the enemy predictable and thus vulnerable. Fifth, predicting enemy actions. This is about thinking like the enemy. If you're attacking an objective, where would they dig in? If they're advancing, what route makes sense for them? Look at the terrain and objectives to guess their plan. For instance, if a capture point is in a village, they'll likely hold one of the buildings that gives them a clear shot of the command tent. Or if their main base is in a particular area, their logistics will likely be around the rear points. If your team's pushing a forest objective, you might think to yourself, if I were them, I'd hold that hill for overwatch. Sure enough, you spot a sniper there and take him out on their flank. Or you're defending a point and predict they'll rush from the dirt road because it provides the most concealment. So you set up an MG nest or mine the road to shred their advance. Predicting their next move lets you strike first. Here's a bonus tip. Take the initiative. You don't need to wait for a squad leader's orders to do something smart. If your team's all watching one direction, be the one who checks the flank. See a weak spot in your defense? Suggest fortifying it, or do it yourself. Initiative means using your brain to help the team, not going rogue, because it's easy to get tunnel visioned on an objective. So reposition to one of your flanks so you can spot enemies sneaking up and call them out. You don't even need to be the one to engage them, since your warning lets the team reposition for a counterattack. Or if you notice no one's guarding a rear base, you can set up there and stop an enemy backcat. For public server warriors, situational awareness is your secret weapon. In the chaos of random lobbies, you can be the one who brings some order. Spot enemies, mark them on the map, and call them out. Next, we'll take that awareness and supercharge it with some teamwork, turning your squad into an unstoppable force. Let's roll. Now that you've got your situational awareness dialed in, it's time to take that battlefield radar and plug it into something bigger. Teamwork. Going solo might feel heroic, but in conflict, it's usually a one-way ticket to be in the enemy's lunch meat, and most soldiers aren't going on suicide missions on purpose. Teamwork is what turns individual skill into a wrecking ball. In fact, even if your individual skill is low, collectively, you can outperform lone wolves by sharing your awareness, syncing up with your squad, and hitting the enemy as a united front. In Arma Reforger, a coordinated team of goobers can steamroll even the toughest lone wolf opponents. So let's break it down into 5 key elements to make your squad unstoppable. First up, communications. Clear, concise comms are the glue that holds a squad together. Use voice or text chat to share what you see. Something like,
Enemy BTR, enemy BTR, enemy BTR, enemy BTR!
Oh dear.
Yeah, sure. The point is to keep it short and to the point. Nobody needs your life story or tough guy banter clogging the channel. On public servers, something as simple as a clear callout can rally randoms into a fighting force. Bad comms though, well, it's like trying to herd cats with a megaphone full of static. Next, roles and synergy. It's tempting to grab a machine gun, a sniper rifle with a grenade launcher duct taped to the bottom, and a medkit with, say, 20 saline and 20 morphine, thinking you're a one-man army. Spoiler alert, you're not. You're a slow-walking arsenal worth lots of supplies when turned into the nearest enemy arsenal. Trying to do everything makes you woefully inefficient, and usually the first to die, too. Real power comes from picking a role, being good at it, and working together with others who do the same. So while it's good to know how to do multiple roles and fill in when necessary, stick to one role and lean into it. Riflemen provide precise firepower and engage objectives. Machine gunners lay down suppressive fire. Grenadiers pepper an area with explosives and flares, like they have little pocket mortars. Medics keep the squad alive with revives and bandages. Logistics deliver supplies, deploy MHQs and rally points, and ensure bases have enough supplies for spawns to keep the team in the fight. Engineers build defenses and roadblocks, etc., etc. When everyone commits to their role, it's like a perfectly tuned engine. Each part does its job, does it well, and the squad roars to life. Here's what that might look like in practice. Your squad's under fire, pinned by a lone wolf machine gunner sniper medic. Your machine gunner lays down controlled bursts to suppress the enemy, while your grenadier lines up a shot on his position and your rifleman flanks around to a better position. And this is when an enemy radio is discovered, with a few more enemies advancing to your position. So your squad leader tells everyone to throw smokes and orders everyone to break contact for higher ground. You now set up an ambush position and wait for the smoke to clear while the enemy shift W's through the forest, where everyone opens up fire and wipes them out. There's something magical that happens when players stick to their role and know their place. Together, you can turn a potentially chaotic team deathmatch fight into a coordinated masterpiece. Of course, on public servers, randoms don't usually coordinate naturally, but that's where leadership comes in. A squad leader, or even just someone stepping up for a moment, ties everything together and can really improve the experience in Arma Reforger. You don't need to be appointed as a commander in order to lead. Sometimes it's just saying, let's flank left when the team's hesitating or doesn't have a plan. Here's how it looks on a public server when no one's talking. All you need to do is announce what you're up to, which often causes players to start rallying around you, even if they don't have a mic. A few randoms join, you mark a sneaky route, and your ragtag crew of goobers captures the point. You then announce that you and a few randoms just captured the point, and that you're going to the next one. Before you know it, you've got a larger group helping you out, and some of them even start using their microphones. I guess they do have a working mic after all. Leadership doesn't mean barking orders. It can simply mean having a direction when it's needed most. Fourth, coordinated actions. This is about moving as one and having each other's back. Stick together, provide covering fire while moving around the map, revive fallen teammates, and set up rally points to keep up the momentum. A squad that's synced up is a nightmare for the enemy. For example, your squad's hitting a fortified building. Half of the team lays down suppressing fire, pinning the enemy, or at least drawing their attention. The rest toss smoke and flank, clearing the building room by room. That's coordination. Every move builds on the last, and the enemy doesn't stand a chance. When you're dedicated to sticking to your role, coordinated actions become second nature. Machine gunners, marksmen, and grenadiers hang back and provide overwatch, while at the very least suppressing the enemy, while the rest of the team moves in to do the dirty work. Fifth, resource sharing. If you want to make friends, give someone a gift. It doesn't have to be a sandwich, although that helps. If you want to make an instant friend in Reforger, specifically, give someone a machine gun. Even just announcing that you have some gear that people can grab from your vehicle will add +1 to your charisma on the server. And handing out fresh sniper rifles from the arsenal to lower ranked players is a great way to boost the mood for everyone on your team and get people playing together. For public server players, teamwork is your cheat code. Start communicating early. You'll be surprised at how fast randoms latch on. Make friends when you join a match. Listen for players already working together and jump in. It's like starting a pickup game. Once you kick the ball, others will play along. With teamwork locked in, you're ready for the final piece: tactics. This is where we turn your squad's strength into a master plan to crush the enemy. You've got your situational awareness dialed in. Your teamwork firing on all cylinders, but without tactics, you're just a well-coordinated target. Charging in blind turns what could have been a predictable outcome into a meat grinder, and trust me, the enemy is happy to oblige. Tactics are the blueprint for turning awareness and teamwork into crushing victories. It's about focusing on the things that matter and keeping your squad one step ahead. So let's dive into 4 key elements to make your execution unstoppable. First up, objective focus. Conflict isn't team deathmatch. It's about capturing and holding objectives and fortifying your positions so you can regroup for the next push or be able to defend against the enemy when they push for theirs. Every decision should drive you toward that goal, whether you're attacking to seize a base or defending it to lock it down. Chasing kills or wandering off might technically be a legitimate playstyle, but it's like playing chess and ignoring the king because you like killing pawns. You're not winning anything. Here's how focusing on objectives work. First, you need to know what your goals are, and in conflict, your ultimate goal is to capture a certain number of control points, which are named here in pink. However, how you get there is up to you, and also the enemy, who aren't going to be very cooperative. You're always going to need these 3 basic things. Logistics, to build bases up, stock them with supplies and defenses so players can keep spawning on location. Defenders, to fight off the enemy assaults and set up ambushes, and attackers to overrun enemy positions. Once a base is captured, logistics and defenders should move in to fortify it, while attackers prepare for the next push. When defending, position anti-tank riflemen, grenadiers, and machine gunners at choke points like a bridge or an alley, and build razor wire to funnel enemies into a convenient kill zone. A machine gunner on a hill can pin them down, while medics keep your defenders alive. The enemy needs to get within a certain distance of your command tent in order to start capturing. So this should give you an idea of how to set up your bunkers and sandbags. Just because you're defending doesn't mean you have to be the one in the cap zone. Sometimes the best defense is a good overwatch position into your base from 600 meters away. Check out where the tree lines are, and place down AI to defend these areas, as they're most likely the locations you'll be encountering enemies. Speaking of AI, if you have the budget for it, place them into heavy machine guns to be used for anti-air, as they can be much more accurate than the average player. When delivering supplies and building roadblocks, check the map for where the front line is, and focus on delivering supplies to bases that are right behind the ones that are under attack so players can spawn in and get back into the fight. Avoid main roads and never stop for enemy ambushes. Build machine gun nests in covered tree lines overlooking straight pathways, and build obstacles such as roadblocks and choke points like bridges to give the defenders plenty of time to land their shots. Oh, and deploy MHQs in locations that give your team flexibility for both attacking and defending. When attacking, don't trickle in solo. Regroup and move as a unit so you can plan a route that utilizes the most cover from angles the enemy will least expect. Consider setting up a dedicated team for Overwatch to provide suppressive fire and give your infantry units intel on where the enemies have been spotted. Remember, your goal is to get within a certain distance of the command tent as fast as possible to start the capture, at which point it'll disable the spawning on that base for your enemy. Once your enemies are cleared and the capture starts, it's a good idea to set up defensive positions for the duration of the capture process and prepare for a counterattack. The more people you have within the cap zone will speed up the capping process, but you may want to have a few people on the outskirts to give you an early warning of any enemies. On public servers, objective focus can turn chaos into victory. If randoms are running around wild, start calling out what you're doing and lead by example. Decide whether you're going to be doing logistics, defending, or pushing the point. Mark it on the map and watch players start following. One time, I accidentally got a squad of randoms together after a clear call, swarmed a point, and ended up winning the match because they stopped chasing kills and started playing the game's objective. Next, maneuver warfare. This is about moving smarter and about manipulating the movements of enemy forces. Forget frontal assaults into enemy strongholds. Use flanks, ambushes, and terrain to catch them off guard. It's like playing hide and seek, except you're the one with the rocket launcher. As tempting as it may be, running around at full speed everywhere you go makes you visually noisy and very easy to detect by people who aren't even looking for you. Then, when you start taking fire, you find yourself without enough stamina to sprint to cover. As the saying goes, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. In this case, moving slower will enable you to actually get to your position with less detection, and with plenty of stamina should you need to start sprinting. And while we're here, when moving in mountainous terrain, always opt to choose a side of the hill to be on, and traverse the terrain just a little bit lower instead of directly at the apex. Otherwise, you'll skyline from both directions, i.e., your silhouette against the background will become very easy to see. Also, when engaging in a firefight, take care to never peek the same spot twice, and always reposition after every kill or simply after just laying down a few bursts of suppressive fire. So that's moving smarter, but what about manipulating the enemy's movements? Imagine this. Your squad needs to hit an enemy held base to get to a control point. Instead of a frontal assault, charging from the main road where a likely ambush is waiting, you loop through a forest, using trees for cover, and hit their rear. The enemy's scrambling, and you've got the upper hand, and that ambusher who was waiting for you on the main road now needs to reposition and react to your moves. And this is the main point, to get the enemy on the defensive, reacting to your maneuvering. This can mean sending out a squad to take over a smaller objective, to either cut off their radio network or distract their forces and commit them to a fight at a minor objective long enough for your team to move into the main objective, or to set up an ambush that would have otherwise been detected on the enemy's main supply route. Maneuver warfare keeps you and your squad unpredictable and the enemy on their heels. And if you're working together as a team, you can set up traps for the enemy to fall into as they run around looking for you. Third is equipment utilization. Your gear isn't just for show, it's your edge. You're on the battlefield, not a department store, so don't get cute with clearing rooms like some kind of tactical main character when you have grenades and mortars at your disposal. Grenades flush out buildings. Smoke hides your movements or blinds the enemy. Helicopters bring speed and firepower. Mortars lay waste to anything that they're aimed at, and MG nests or armored vehicles control key sectors. Use them strategically and you'll turn good plans into great results. This means that if your squad needs to cross an open field to reach an enemy location, you might pop some smoke grenades, creating a thick screen that blinds their snipers or machine gunners so they can move safely. Or call in some smoke mortars on the objective so your forces can overwhelm the cap zone and keep the enemy blind. At buildings, toss in grenades through the door and windows before you rush in to clear it. This also means that if you're using an armored vehicle like the LAV-25, you're not charging in with the 7x optic, attracting every RPG to it like a Shift W to the respawn screen. Instead, utilize these vehicles as armored overwatch, taking out enemies from afar, or as an anti-aircraft platform, denying the enemy the ability to land troops nearby or even do strafing runs with their helicopters. The same goes for the mortar. If it's dark, someone should be popping off flares over enemy positions to light up the area, or dropping smoke to conceal movements as you advance into position. The MHQ can also be deployed to not only extend your radio range, but it's also a spawn point for your entire team. Radio backpacks can be deployed as temporary spawn points for your squad as well. The tools are available to you. It's just up to you to use them. Fourth, adaptability. Even the best plans get punched in the face by reality. The enemy isn't going to follow your script, so you need to pivot and pivot fast. Whether it's switching targets or changing routes or rethinking your approach, adaptability keeps your squad in the game and applying pressure. For instance, your squad's flanking an objective through a valley, but an enemy APC rolls in, cutting you off. Instead of fighting a losing battle and exposing your position, you hold fire, pull back, and call in for a mortar barrage. With the APC down, you launch a new push, this time with the 50 cal Jeep for speed and overwatch, and take the objective with ease. A pivot like that turns a disaster into a triumph, but you won't get there if you don't have the patience to be flexible. Adaptability means knowing when to hold, when to fold, and when to strike back. In fact, the more you practice being adaptable, the more effective you can be in any given situation. We've broken down the 3 pillars that'll make you unstoppable in Arma Reforger's conflict game mode. Master these, and you'll be the player everyone wants on their team. So let's recap. First, don't rush objectives without a plan. It's like sprinting into a buzzsaw. Second, don't stick to a failing strategy. If your flank or MG position is compromised, try something else. Third, don't misuse equipment. Continuously spawning in with your 300 supply loadout instead of rearming at your corpse or ditching a vehicle in a ditch just hands the enemy an advantage. Situational awareness keeps you informed, so check that map, use your ears to listen for audio cues, and read the terrain like a strategist. Teamwork makes you strong, so communicate clearly, stick to your role, and move as a unit. And tactics win the fight. Focus on objectives. Maneuver smartly, use your gear wisely, and adapt when the plan hits a snag. These skills aren't built in a day. Every match is a chance to sharpen your edge. So don't sweat the mistakes. Use them as lessons. Did you miss a flank because you weren't checking the map? Work on making it a habit. Got caught out of position? Reflect on how better teamwork could have saved you. Improvement is a process, and every game is a step forward. And that's the other thing. You don't have to become a pro overnight. Simply improve one thing at a time, and over time, it'll all start to become second nature. Here's a final tip. Join groups or units that emphasize teamwork and tactics. It's the fastest way to level up your game and have a blast doing it. Make friends. Find your squad and dominate together. Arma Reforger can be a fantastic experience with just a friend or two working together. You've got the tools. Now it's time to put them into action. So gear up, squad up, and go dominate. If this guide helped you, smash that like button. Did I just say smash? And subscribe for more Arma Reforger tips. Drop your own strategies or questions in the comments. I want to hear how you're dominating out there. Until next time, this is Ironbeard, and I'll see you, not Nillers, on the battlefield.